Head Lynx Tour Champagne at £48 with Head Hawk Power at £48. Is it a winning hybrid for power, touch, feel, control, precision, and economy? Basically, does it get everything? Let's find out. So I'm going to do this a little bit backwards because I didn't record like a before and after. I've already strung this up. I strung this up 4 or 5 days ago, and I've been playing with it. So I already know sort of what it gives me. But let's step back and say, why did I string this up? So I do like the Head Lynx Tour, the 17 gauge, the Champagne main string, and I was stringing at 50. I dropped it to 48 in a full bed, and that did give a bit more power. So I kind of thought, right, let's do the mains at £48. That seems to be a good tension. Still, however, the full bed of Head Lynx Tour Champagne, and I'm going to do a review of that as well. That didn't quite give me enough. Didn't feel quite alive enough. There was just something missing in terms of, it felt very connected, very solid, precise, did get a bit more power, but just missed, there's a bit of liveliness missing to it. So I do think I need to hybrid if I'm going to go this route of using the Head Lynx Tour Champagne. I tried the Head Hawk, which that did give more power, but it took away that sort of solid connected feel. So really it's sort of finding this balance, right, of between, going probably a softer poly to get more power, getting a bit more liveliness without suddenly you're just losing that sense of, the ball sitting on the strings for long enough. So this Head Hawk Power, I just happened to buy it really for kicks. I bought the Head Hawk, and as I was looking on, I bought these from Stringers World, as I was looking across the Head Hawks, I saw Head Hawk Power. And, what was my logic? I saw the word power and went, okay, let's buy that. Now, I have had some comments from some people saying, no, not a great string. And firstly, I will always respect, agree, disagree, doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. And there are strings that I've tried that I'd be like, no chance. I hate the thing. And other people say, well, actually, it's a good string. Whatever works for you. Fantastic. So this I put in, and I sort of went, what shall I string it at? And I think, do I string it at 47, 48, 49? And I was like, no, let's just keep it simple. 48, 48. So I put that in. And, what I was hoping for was to retain all the great qualities of the Lynx Tour that I liked, that it is a real control string. There's, you can really sort of say, I'm going to put the ball over there, and it feels like you can do it. You get this, the feel on it is fantastic, but it does miss that liveliness and that power. You've really got to, if you put in 10, it will give you back 10. It's, whereas sometimes you say, I'd like to put in 10 and get back 11 or 12, just that little bit extra. I don't want 15, if that makes sense. So that's what I was hoping to get from this. And, so what didn't I want from it? I didn't want it to become overly lively. I didn't want it to, like the Hawk, kind of lose that sensation of the mainstream, because that's really, that sort of, and I think what I want is that connection to the ball. So I feel like it is, whether it's dwell, whether it's ball pocketing, it's just sitting there for just long enough. And I'd love for somebody to sort of write in the comments and say, when you're talking about that feeling of that nice connected feel where it just sits there for a while, what you're talking about is, okay, tell me, fine. So I didn't want it to take away from that like the Head Hawk did. What would be my big measurements? It's the first serve, it's probably when I'm hitting my forehand, that if I just, really want to sort of get set and I feel like I'm going to put everything into this one, whip it through, that it comes off and you go, wow, that came off pleasingly quick, at a pace that I could control. But I equally wanted it so that when I went for the kick serve and on my single-handed backhand, I hit with a lot of topspin. I really am Like I'm not going to drive my backhand that much. I am going to play it really to create pressure. Yeah, that's my style. So there, I really want to see that kind of, it comes off and you just see that classic sort of, it goes up and then it dips down, preferably just inside the baseline. Or pull it cross court and getting it coming, so cross court just somewhere near the service line, pulling the ball off, and again, just getting enough spin on it that it will go up and over really quickly. So that's what I want from it. And what am I not bothered about by it? I seem to be able to play with relatively stiff string bits, and you know the T-Fight itself is a stiffer racket. It's not a cricket bat. So for me, I'm not so bothered about comfort. So I think that's one thing to always understand with this, is that I will probably play with string bits that other people might find quite harsh, and you know I would say I'm not bothered about that, and I will, you know, I'll happily put something in that's relatively stiff and string it probably at a tension that people say that may be higher than I would go. So that's kind of what my thinking was and what I was looking for this. So let's see how it went on court. So how did this go? And honestly, what I didn't mention before was what was my optimism? What did I think? I was actually less than optimistic. I was like, basically I didn't think it was going to work. Somehow I didn't think this was going to work. I don't have it here. I'd strung up the other racket in the full bed of the Lynx Tour Champagne, and I went out and played with that, and I was like, this is nice. It's giving me all the things I loved and a bit more power. And I thought, yeah, this is kind of going to be it. So I didn't necessarily go out with huge optimism. So what happened? Well, I went out for one session where my test was I had both rackets and I would pick them up and I would just see which do I naturally gravitate to, which do I sort of go towards and say, do you know, I want to play with you, thank you very much. And it was this one. It was the Lynx Tour Champagne and the Head Hawk. This was the one that I preferred playing with. And what sort of hitting did I do? I hit with my daughter, hit with my wife. I hit in the hitting squad that I play in with the kids who hit a very decent ball. And then this morning I went out and hit with a friend who I would say he's better than me. I would say now in terms of the grades, I would say I would firmly go. I'm competitive in grade 4. Grade 5 is just I was watching one yesterday and it's just too many mistakes. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really what I want. As an aside, I put up a short video yesterday where I talked about cutting out the errors, where people sort of, said, well, yeah, that's, maybe you're talking about percentage tennis and that alone is not enough to improve, and completely agree. And I probably should have, not put the title "How to Win, Cut Out the Errors," because that's not all you have to do. You've got to do more than that. It was more probably a commentary on, I'm watching these grade 5 tournaments with these people who seem to have, nice technique. I'm talking about men's here. Nice technique, but almost every point is being won on an unforced error. There are so many mistakes. And the one I played a few weeks back where I went through 3 rounds, I was like, if I just stay in the point, I'm going to win. And it's like, that's not actually that much fun. And that's actually what's made me decide we're not going to do grade 5s anymore. I'm going to go up to and play and just say, I've done grade 4s before and won matches in them, and I'm like, I've got to play tennis where I've got to do more than just wait for the error, which is, otherwise, that's not really tennis. So, but the point there is the person I played with this morning, I would say he will win grade 4s and he's playing grade 3s. He's about the same age as me. And so if you think playing men's grade 3s, where some of the players you get in that, he's a very good player, and basically, I sort of trust that if I go and play with him in this string and I feel like I can play a good match, then that maybe this isn't serving me too badly. So we only got through 4 games because it started raining, but I felt very competitive, and it felt like this allowed me to play both defense, offense, but also interesting. I'm going to do another video on this around, I'm starting to think more tactically. I'm starting to think about my position on the court, which I'm starting to realize my positioning is not as good as it could be. I'm exposing spaces where I shouldn't be, although, and I'll leave that for another day. The point is that I'm starting to think quite tactically, not just, can this let me play technique and let me put the ball, with control and precision and power, but actually, does it let me play a more tactical game now? Which, as another aside, isn't it amazing? You got that sort of, if people have heard that sort of model where you talk about, a model of learning where you talk about subconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and subconscious incompetence. It's amazing how you flip between sort of going from thinking, basically, I don't know that I'm not very good. I don't know that I now know I'm not very good. I know that I'm good, and then you go into being good without sort of having to think about it, if you like. Well, isn't it amazing how there are so many periods where you think you're good, and then you look back and you go, yeah, I was probably good at the level I was playing, but now it's almost like, I finished a level in Mario, and my son plays Mario a lot, and you suddenly go, wow, yeah, there's an awful lot to this, more to this than I really fully realized. At the same time, and I know I'm digressing here, the joy that brings. We were hitting the other day, my wife and I, next to two guys at the club that we play at, and one of them said, I don't know why I do this sport, it's so hard. And I sort of joked across and said, and I'll probably get bashed for the comment I'm about to make. If you went and played pickleball, probably not so much padel, but if you went and played pickleball, you know, you'd probably get bored, you know, and I'm probably going to get bashed by a million pickleball players because I have played it and I know there's more to it than just going out and dinking around a little airflow ball. But the point is, it feels an awful lot easier to play that than it does tennis. But I joke with him that, you know what, part of the joy of this sport, it's almost like golf for active people, where you're going to spend a lifetime trying to master it and probably failing, but always feeling like there's something more that you can be doing. And when you get there, you realize there's something more again. It's a brilliant sport, isn't it? Anyway, let's get back to the string review. So, why did I like this? Because, you know, I'm going to both say that it gave me, I felt almost everything I wanted, but I'm going to jump ahead and sort of give you a sort of thing at the end, which is, I still want more. So what did it give me? It gave me control. It gave me feel. It gave me, I found it comfortable, but it's a stiff setup. You know, you probably wouldn't want to play this if you got a sensitive arm. It gave me, it did give me spin. Although this is one thing. It gave me spin, and it gave me power. And it gave me, probably if I put in 10, it gave me back 11, right? So there's two things here. Big thing I noticed between this and the Head Lynx Tour Champagne in a main, in a full bed. With the Head Lynx Tour Champagne in a full bed, I'm playing spin. You know, I'm playing higher percentage of spin, top spin, right, across all my shots. With this, I'm playing a higher percentage of flat shots, but I know that when I want top spin, it will give it to me. Which actually may not be the worst thing in the world, because my backhand is a topspin shot all day long. It is topspin. I would say I hardly ever flatten out my backhand. It is always topspin. My forehand, however, I will flatten that out. And I would say I would prefer to hit flatter on my forehand than I would topspin. So you almost turn around and say, I need a setup that will hit flat but will also hit spin. Hence, I do actually like this. The big difference as well is the launch angle on this. This is much lower than the Head Lynx Tour in a full bed. That had a much higher launch angle. But even that, I'm not finding I'm hitting the net. So it's going lower. Albeit if I do rip it with topspin, of course it's going to go higher over, but the natural launch angle is low with this. But then you could kind of say, well, look, if you're clearing the net and you don't find you're having to really work just to get it over, and you're getting it in, and you've got power, and you've got touch and feel and precision and control, and they're not expensive strings. Is that not a great thing? So the answer is maybe. So what is it then? Am I just a perennially never quite happy person? You know, there's always got to be. You could be. You've perfected it, but you could be a little bit better still. The answer is yeah. That's probably me. What more do I want for this? Well, I don't know quite what it is, but to describe where my thinking's going is almost. I say to myself, I almost feel like chucking a multi in as the cross. Like Technifiber X1 biface is probably one of my favorites. Why? Because I still want more power. I said I put in 10, I get back 11. I want to put in 10 and I want to get back 12. But I still want the spin. Because I still find the first serve, it's giving me more, but I'm not crunching those serves. I know that I can crack a very healthy first serve, but it's like I did a post on multi-filaments, and I feel like I need to have a multi in to do that. I don't feel like a full bed of poly unless I go for soft and lower tensions, I'm not going to get that same level of power. But here's the thing, and this goes down to, is it possible? And this is kind of, I guess, what am I looking for? Is it possible to have a setup that gives you control, precision, feel, but is economical? Because, you know, because there's a setup I can think of that could do this, that is not economical, but also gives you power without degrading those other things. I mean, my natural thought is to say, probably whack natural gut in here as a cross, and I have no idea what I would string it at, but higher. But I have played with that once, and you know what? I mean, I will do this one day. I will go and invest the money to buy probably Ali Power Rough and Babolat VS Gut and stick it in, because I've done that before, and it's like, it feels like the God setup, you know. It's a nice thing. But that's where sort of the secondary thing to that, if I can't afford that, is to, like, I did love Technifiber X1 Biphase. Trouble is, I know that if I put it in, and I will do this, I will string up X1 Biphase just to kind of show, I'll put a timer on, and I would say if I get 4.5 hours out of it, I will have done incredibly well before I snap the thing. Most likely it would have gone before that. But in that time, I will feel like I will be bombing serves down. And I would say I was still going to get a very decent level of spin. It's just whether or not you can get the control from it. And there, you're going to be stringing the multi much higher. So bottom line, I really did like this setup. I do like it. But the fact that what I'm about to do is this says, still not quite the setup for me. I still think I can do better. Why have I just done that? Because what am I going to do next? Head Lynx Tour Champagne, 48 pounds with Head Hawk Touch. I'm going to put that in the crosses. I'm not going to do the Mazzetti setup where he switches it round the other way, as far as I understand. I'm going to try Head Hawk Touch in the crosses. I'm going to stick to 48 pounds. I'm going to get that strung up now, go out this afternoon, and I'm going to start playing with that setup and say, how do we go? But this setup, do you know what? Very, very nice. Just I will say, it is stiff. Don't use it if you've got a sensitive arm. But otherwise, yeah, probably maybe if you're looking for that bit more control and you don't mind a bit more stiffness, I think this is quite a nice setup.